right now.
I, I
All
like
right, we
this mysterious entity called Manny. You should just, you know what? It rings a bell from the documentary I just watched. Have you seen "Don't Fuck with Cats" on
Oh, I
Netflix?
haven't seen it, but I know exactly the document you're talking about.
Ridiculous, ridiculous. Sorry, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, it's okay. We're live, and I like that's how we
Oh, yeah.
started this off by going, "Who's Manny?" Manny is the man behind the board. He's my nephew. He helps me out with a lot of my technical stuff.
Oh, you know
He-
what? I remember Manny from like Christmas parties and all. Hey,
yes,
Manny, what's going on? Good to see you, brother.
he's
Wow,
gonna
it's been a
respond in the
while.
chat.
We
All
need
right, we are
to
live. All right,
we
I'm
need
gonna.
to do a
What's sorry?
three-way with your handsome face as well, man. Come on.
You know what?
That's
He's
next.
actually started. He started
Oh,
live
good,
streaming some stuff. So
good.
yeah. So actually, that's gonna be something we're gonna be moving towards in the future. Putting a whole bunch of different live streams together.
And, Mano, just to like make you perhaps a little like give you some sense of nostalgia and maybe even some homesickness.
Uh
Do you
oh.
see what's happening here? Girls, hold on, let me lift the
Oh
sleeve off
frick.
here.
So oh my
Tim
god,
Hortons,
that's disgusting.
little Canadiana experience there.
What is that logo they got going on? That's
You
weird.
know what? I think it's for Christmas. They always do something weird for Christmas. I
Oh,
don't know.
that's such a Christmas logo. I love it. It's
Yeah,
so not Christmas, but Christmas.
yeah.
It's
If there's any
wow.
American listeners, this is like the Dunkin' Donuts of Canada, pretty much, to give
It is.
rough equivalent, basically.
It is owned by Americans. Once started by a
Right?
Canadian and owned by
Brazilians, man.
Americans. So
Brazilians, owned by
oh
Brazilians.
really?
Yeah, forget the Brazilian's name, but he basically went on an acquisition spree. He picked up Tim Hortons and some other, entity, and then basically that's when Tim Hortons. It was already shit, and then it went to more shit
Yeah.
because you could see like, okay, it was very left brain
Hmm.
management thinking. Cut a lot of like creative menus options out of the menu and just regurgitate the same base ingredient, and therefore it's like you improve your economies of scale purchasing on that raw ingredient and then just spread it out in these like it's like they're hiding it, but it's like that's just the same product, just like you know brisket is now Philly milk at the same time, right? It's the same shit, come on. And
This
like
is this is such a George rant. This
yeah,
is okay. So I'm gonna start the show.
okay, go ahead.
No,
This
no,
is
no, no. I
what
don't mean. No,
this is
this
the
is why I wanted
epiphany.
you on.
Yeah,
This is
no,
why I wanted you on.
these are the epiphanies that occur to me at 9 o'clock in the morning while I'm waiting for my tea.
So I just wanted to welcome you to the show, George.
Thank
This
you
is a
very much.
I'm gonna call you. Do you want me to call you Djordje or George? Because I'm happy to call you Djordje.
Call me Djordje, whatever you want. It's
Am
your
I
show.
saying Am I saying it right?
You're the boss. Yeah,
Am
you
I?
are.
Okay,
Very,
okay, okay,
very
okay.
good.
Because I had a Serbian friend here tell me, "Wow, you pronounce that really well." I'm like, "Well, I grew up with a bunch of Serbs, so that leads me into
One
the
of them.
introduction. That's one of them right there." All right, so this is Convos with Mano. Welcome to Study of Stuff. The reason why I started this segment is a lot of the taglines I've been using lately have a lot to do with social engineering, culture creation, new age deception. And one of the taglines I'm constantly referring to is re-engineering their social engineering. And what I mean by that is by understanding how they've socially engineered us, seeing their techniques and motives, we can reverse that and we could take our power back, not to use a cliche term.
Yeah.
And one of the things I feel that has been altered, changed, engineered, geared us away from is proper conversation, proper discourse, the ability to agree, the ability to disagree, more importantly, and have a back and forth conversation with individuals. And I think that's been really, we've been robbed of that a little bit. Now, whether it be our cell phone usage, whether it be just the conditioning in general, whether it to be like creating a heightened sense of being offended and
Yep.
all of that stuff. All of these things together. One thing that we can take back is learning how to have proper discourse, how to have proper conversation, how to agree, how to disagree.
Yep.
And this segment, I just choose to pick friends, people I've known in the past, people that I've known in my personal life to ask to come onto the show and just have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And being that I'm here in Mexico. It also gives me an opportunity to touch base with some of my friends back home. So, George, you're my second guest. First one was Harry,
Woo! I like it.
and one of the reasons I really wanted you in particular, and a few other names I sent out there was because I've known Djordje for a long time. So to the listeners, I kind of consider him my younger brother in a lot of ways. We kind of
That's right.
grew up side by side. Some of my early memories of Djordje was you were the toughest kid I've ever met by far. I was boxing at that time. I was lifting super heavy at that time. And this kid, I keep calling him a kid. He's 6 years younger than me, I believe. But I would punch him full on in the face while we would wrestle. I would proper body slam him, like full on, and this kid would take it.
I think we were all that generation was all pretty strong. I think that's the product of, one may call it neglectful parenting, where like we're like little animals and raising each other in a certain sense. And you kind of, you take a little bit more lumps and bumps along that way, and then it kind of thickens your skin. And I don't see like this generation. It's like it's like went from 0 to 180 on that front. But I guess that might explain if I was a little bit stronger than normal, I guess.
Well, you're also being a little modest. You also had it in you. If I recall correctly, you were almost like you were jacked even at the age of like 10.
I think there's a picture when I was like, I guess I'm naturally kind of mesomorphic, right? And so even at the age of 3, I was like, I had broad shoulders and
it's true.
Roy, what's going on? But obviously now, if you don't, you got to exercise that stuff, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And
100%.
Approaching the age of 40, I'm starting to see that. So I still gotta be on point, because there may be an interaction between me and you where you come and punch me, and I might not take that punch, bro.
Let's do it, dude. Let's do it. I'm so ready. Actually, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to when I come back for a visit is to get in the ring with you. I want to do some sparring.
Just to have you back, it's been a while. That would be awesome.
Soon, hopefully. It looks like it might be soon.
Awesome.
Let's not hold our breath. But I'm working on something. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
So, anyways, another reason why early memories I've had of Djordje was also conversation. You're one of the better conversationalists I remember. We've had disagreements often. We've agreed on things, and I remember always walking away from the conversation, heated or not, always respecting your opinion, respecting not just because you respect people because they're human, but you actually would, even when I would disagree with you, you would offer up a really good counterpoint, really good ideas. You're an ideas guy, and that's why I really wanted to have this conversation with you in front of a whole bunch of people, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
So,
go ahead. Take it away.
No, I want you to. You were you about to say something? Go ahead.
You brought up the theme of cradle orthodoxy, and us growing up together in childhood and all that. I think I don't know, but I think we may have had the same experience of that type of upbringing. I'll elaborate, and then you'll
please.
Agree or disagree. But I took for granted the rich inheritance of orthodoxy, and when you're also a little kid, you have a lot of questions. And the parenting style of my parents, they're old school in the sense that it's like, hey, just do as you're told. Like, why are you asking all these questions that are even can be at times very theological and philosophical and all that? So it's do as you're told. So I never really got really elaborate, rich answers like, why do we fast? Why do we eat wine and I drink wine and eat the bread? Why is our Christmas on the 7th? Like, what is the Holy Trinity? Like, hello, like I'm going to this, I'm going to church and all that. And so when you don't get those rich answers, you're not as inspired to like delve into it, to ingest it in the way that you need to ingest it. And then, as you kind of grow older, you have your environment, and it competes for your attention and focus. There's competing influences, so I really actually really deviated away, because I didn't see, the substance in it at that time, right? And I don't know about the Greek culture, but the Serbian culture, if you look at the the environment of familial figures and all that, like, we're a quarrelsome people. like Serbians don't get
Absolutely.
along with one another a lot of the times,
So are
right?
we. Yeah.
It's like all the guys, they all want to be the chef in the kitchen, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
So, just looking at that, not getting the answers that I wanted, and kind of just like it was very easy for me, to like deviate off course. And by the time I came to like university, you're getting, influenced and introduced to other philosophers. Like if you take philosophy courses, there's existentialism,
Yep.
Platonism, Neoplatonism, so on and so forth. And then so you just kind of like uh, and even like you're still forming your the hierarchy of values that you want to live,
Yep.
and even at that time it's very raw and immature, and so God really does not really fit in at that time. I think it takes real life experiences and such as failures to like really rattle you and go, whoa, 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 what is really happening here? I need more of a firm grip, because obviously the method that I'm currently employing is not working.
Yep.
I even, after university, had the opportunity to go to Mount Athos, which is a very, it's one of the most holy sites for Christian Orthodox people. And unfortunately, because of my immature headspace, the whole experience was rather lost on me. You know, but so that's something I need to revisit, and I think I mentioned to you, it's like we should like definitely go there.
Together.
Because now I think we're both of a more mature mindset to really absorb that to the deep level that it needs to be absorbed. But I do remember how it was like it was very intense. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Some church services are like 8 hours long.
Yep.
I remember there was this one Greek monastery where it started at 9 p.m. and ended at 5 a.m. in the morning. In the
Of course.
morning, you take a little nap and then you go again. So
Yep.
for somebody that has come from Western culture and has like assimilated a lot of Western values, just to go into this, it was too immersive, where I think after the fourth day, I'm like, I tapped out. I'm like, I'm good here. This is really very immersive. But I could definitely see that there and feel that there is a spiritual energy in the air, and like, but it was not one that I want. Like I even had the instruments to fully soak in,
Yep.
and
Yep.
nor did I want to at the time, just because I'm coming from the West and I'm kind of permeated in Western values. And so I left around like on the fourth day. I'm like, this is good, this is enough. And then I ventured off and I lived my life, and just to like, I don't know, fast forward like 10, 15 years later.
Before you do,
Yeah,
how old are you when you went to
I
Mount
was
Athos?
like 23.
Ah, got it. Okay. Keep
23, right? So still a young man forming his worldview, I guess.
definitely.
And so like, in to fast forward like 10, 15 years, you go through stuff and you learn your lessons, and you kind of see what is counterfeit and what is not counterfeit. And I'm
Yeah.
at the age of 40, where I think that's a good time, like a period of time, and I still have yet to learn, obviously, to really discard what was you know which didn't serve me. It didn't serve a higher purpose in me. And we even kind of had a big foray into uh, New Age spiritualism.
Okay.
And to anybody listening, like I think that is just crock of shit. Forgive my
I could
language, right?
attest. No, no,
But
I could attest.
like I think it's such a like the ego is such a slippery slope, where
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
New Age spirituality you get to manufacture your own self righteousness, and from there you cherry pick facets to create your identity,
Hmm.
fully not addressing the real skeletons and the demons and the cause
Yes.
that really uh, you know need to be burned off. And
Yep. Yep.
uh, and that's a very painful process. And my going back into Orthodox Christianity, uh, that process really begun, and it was literally going into the refiner's fire. And for the first uh, probably 1 to 2 years, it was actually a very painful part of my life. Very, very. It was a
Yep.
very, it was very painful. But as not to use cliches. Iron sharpens iron, essentially. And I would like to think that I've come out, uh, you know, burning off those impurities, so to speak, and
Hmm.
hopefully uh, self-condescending myself in a way where I can include the greater fold of humanity, in a certain sense, like my brothers and sisters, into my being, basically. And also cultivate the personal growth for myself that I want to cultivate. I think it's like a fine balance
Yes.
of spilling yourself out, crucifying your ego, so to speak, and then, as Apostle Paul said, like being, putting on the new man, and that's
Yep.
you got to practice that. And so that's why I think, like, having going back into church life. Sorry if I'm rambling on here, but going back into
No, no,
church.
this is what I want.
Okay, great. Like going back in church life, uh, it can be immersive, but I think it's a good thing because it helps you facilitate that new man identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather, like, and again, I hate to kind of, hopefully I don't sound disparaging, but if in Protestantism, it's like it's faith, righteousness, and I'm good, and I go
Yep.
on there. But you have an environment that can easily suck you back in,
Yep.
and I think there's echoes of that narrative in the Old Testament with the Hebrews coming out of Egypt, where when things got tough, or like who worshipped golden calves, right?
Right.
The
Right.
Egyptians did, right?
Right.
And so they kind of reverted back to what they knew, right? And it took a long time to burn that off, right? And so I find having that immersion facilitates that new man identity, basically. And
Wow.
so, and like it's and I again, it's like the first time in my life where, like, I'm like, I feel I have peace, and
Mm-hmm.
there's that popular passage where Jesus says, you cannot serve two masters.
Yes.
And I think you will have to uh, you have to prioritize what your true hierarchy of values are in that respect, because oftentimes you'll have two that are competing with one another. And I think with New Age spirituality, you get to cherry pick the facets of your identity, and oftentimes what you're merging together is irreconcilable. Basically, it's like oil and
Absolutely.
water, right?
Absolutely.
And so, in coming to Christ, I feel like I've managed to do that, and I'm still doing that. I'm still, a work in progress, I would say.
George, you really you have a way with words, my friend. Just
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
you do. No, no, that was very eloquent. You covered a lot of ground, and you really kind of. I find that now that I'm talking to a lot of more Cradle Orthodox, we're all that are kind of going back to the faith.
Yeah,
We all have a very similar story, and I think you really summed it up very well. Even the way you started off, I can attest the same sort of situation as Greeks and Serbians have a lot in common, both the good and the bad, both the good and the bad. You're gonna eat good food, but you're also gonna get schooled on a number of subjects, and
yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of stubbornness. And a lot of infighting and all that.
yeah,
But yeah, your journey is very much similar to mine, and a lot of the stuff that you brought up about the New Age, and kind of looking at it from like looking at it backwards from the Orthodox perspective. All the stuff that I participated in the New Age, you're right, man. It's not easy. It's tough, kind of shedding all of that BS and
yeah.
all that self-centeredness, and that, like you said, picking and choosing what you want to believe in, and
Mhm.
kind of piecing together this bizarre mosaic of beliefs and all of that stuff. And
Yeah,
it's very much like the whole concept of nihilism, where if everything is not if everything is everything, then everything is nothing, and then everything becomes like this encompassed nothingness. But no, you nailed it, my friend. I really like that the way you put all that. So how do you find your relationships with people in general now that you've kind of gone from your whole journey from the beginning to the New Age stuff and now back to Orthodoxy?
I find it to be more harmonious.
Mm-hmm.
I find, just, if they're on a viewpoint, or if there's, if they doing something that I may not like agree with. It begins with respect and ends in respect at the same time, and I don't feel like I have to insert my paradigm into them in order, in order. Like, okay, now you could be a part of my circle in a certain sense, right? Now we can talk, basically, because I kind of let people be who they are, and again, I was thinking about this. It's like, because I think relationships are like how, like, you know, as Jesus said, it's like, what are the first two most important commandments? It's to love thy Father God with all their heart, might, and soul, and mind, and to basically love your brother as you, right? And that those are the commandments, obviously concentrated. So, like, what does that what does that mean? Like, it's basically showing, like, the question is to you: how are you going to relate to yourself and to the world?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
if forgiveness is such a uh, if it's given to me, by grace, if that's like a gift bestowed upon me, the answer is, can you give that same gift to somebody else if it was given to you? Right.
Yep. Yep.
And if you can, well, then what's happening there? You're really truly behaving and acting in the image of God, and kind of
Nice.
actualizing the process of theosis,
Yes.
right? And because I think we live in a society where results are very valued, and we ask for power, right? We're
Yes.
asking for power because power equals enablement, equals ability, ability equals results. But I think the problem is it's like, and that is all distorted from a disturbed, degraded emotional self-worth.
Absolutely. Yep. That's well put. Even like when you look at it
Yeah,
as we're created in the image of God, but we're
yeah,
also created in the likeness of God. You,
that's
you,
right.
you can't you can't well, I mean, they're trying to change what the image of God looks like through all
Yeah,
the
of
bizarre
course.
practices we're having nowadays with people cutting off their body parts, but
Yeah,
the likeness of God is very easy for us to lose track of what that is. And
yeah,
I like what you're saying, because it has a lot to do with that, and kind of bring
yeah,
yourself back to a form of theosis.
yeah, and because we value so much results, we want that power. And what
Yes.
is that? That's just, you're building your own Tower of Babel in a certain
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? And so, no, it's like, I think the key thing is to just, like, try to, through that forgiveness, restore another person's emotional self-worth,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I think, and then it's like, again, answering, how do you want to relate to yourself and to the world? And so I've made I hope, like a conscious effort to engage with, like, my fellow man with, in that filter, basically, with that lens. And yeah, again, it feels good. It feels good. It feels harmonious. So, that, to answer your question, yeah,
So how long would
I
you
feel
say
like
you've
I'm more connected, basically.
you seem it too, even in our interactions, there's definitely been a shift and a change in how you communicate with me, in a positive way, of course. I mean that, not that it was horrible before. It's just there's
You
I
are
find
horrible person.
I find a lot, like what we were saying earlier, like
Yeah,
the hard part of becoming, of like taking orthodoxy seriously and going into like the self work, like actual self work, not deflecting it,
yeah,
but actually dealing with it. And it brings up a lot of realities about the self that you kind of find ways of like pushing aside, and it's really hard to
yeah,
like wrestle with all of that. and it brings humbleness. It brings a form of humbleness that I think is very
Absolutely.
important.
And it's very scary, like to like
Uh-huh.
realize.
Yes.
It's like, hey, dude, your whole identity is just born from deceptions,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And
Like, you
deceptions.
live
Yep.
20, 30,
Yep.
like, your identity formation probably happened by the time you were 14, 15 years old,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
you can cognize the world in a deeper sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like from that point onward, it's like, it's bogus. It's bogus. Like, the framework of your thinking. It was basically born from sin, which
Yeah.
is self-deception,
Yeah.
basically.
That seems to be the name of the game in every which way. It's like the self deception, self worth.
Yeah.
People constantly like harp on that, and they use that as like a manipulative tactic, and it's all about self serving. And this
Yeah.
form of egoism, which is hidden in the words, but then you look at the words that like the New Age people use, and you can
Yeah.
clearly see the egoism. It's all self deification,
Absolutely.
self-importance, like create your own reality, not like
Yeah,
your reality is kind of somehow different than like it's
yeah.
bizarre. It's
And,
bizarre.
and then and then it's like when there's certain friction that happens. It's like that they create some, and I'm guilty of this myself, creating some
Yeah.
reason why I need to isolate myself away
Yes,
from
yes,
it. Right? It's
yes,
like
yes,
I feel,
yes.
it's,
Well, that's like like that's a huge problem nowadays. People don't want to deal with anything or take accountability for any of their actions, and the reality is, truth is never going to be nice. Truth is not kind. It's like how
yeah,
Father Turbo started the interview I did with him. He was like saying like, Jesus isn't a chill guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he could
yeah,
be hardcore, right?
oh
And
yeah,
that's like the reality is like truth isn't meant to be soft. It's not meant
no,
to be kind. At the end, it's loving if if it's
yeah,
presented in a way that the intention is correct. It's loving. Like you like as a father, I can take a soft approach with Amelia, with my daughter, and kind of like coddle her throughout certain things, or I could be more direct and be honest with her. And I prefer honesty. I mean, at the end, it earns respect, and
it,
she knows I don't lie to her, and I
yeah,
think that's one thing about orthodoxy, both with whether you're communicating with others or
yeah.
whether you're communicating with yourself. There's a raw truth, a raw honesty that's hard to deal with.
Yeah, truth is it's corrective, and I
Yes.
forget which spiritual father said that it's God's love is like a lake of fire,
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
right? And
I think that was Athanasius. I think.
perhaps,
Yeah. Yeah. He
but
he
yeah,
loved truth.
yeah, and like again, like it's you you know you have to like say goodbye to all the things that you used to create, that you deem to be valuable, and
Yeah.
that you use to create this identity. And it's just a very humbling experience, and it's essentially, it's like you're learning to crawl again. uh,
Yes. Yes.
you're learning to crawl again. And but I think that's that is uh, the perfect situation in which it leads for you to commune back with God, basically.
Yeah. It's well
Yeah,
put.
right. It's like it's like from you could do this transcendental meditation, or you could actually pray. And when you
Yep.
pray,
Yep.
you're essentially yoking with eternity in a certain sense, and you are now behaving as if you are communing with God, and you're not. You've minimized your self autonomy, basically. You you want to get in the habit of deflating that tire, right, and,
Yep.
and humbling yourself. And basically, the key
That
thing is
sorry,
like,
sorry to interrupt
yeah,
you there
go
because
ahead.
I don't. That's a key point that you're bringing up there. That's one of the things I found with orthodoxy that I didn't find with any other quote unquote spiritual practice is the personal God.
Hmm. Yes.
He's not an impersonal God. And in particular with orthodoxy, like not other Christian denominations, but with orthodoxy, you can have a personal
Yeah.
relationship with Jesus, with God. You can personally commune. You can have you can feel it.
Hmm.
And I think what you just said there, what you hit on there is very important. Very important. Like
Yeah.
the personality, keeping your individualism as being part of a collective, quote unquote, but
Sure.
that individualism is very important. That was always something that bothered me about the New Age and the nihilistic view of it. It was when I would try to like close my eyes and like really think about like what is God? I call it the all and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
is it? What is, and then you start coming to an understanding of what the words that how they explain it, and it's like, well, it's everything. It's so everything that when you die or you go into this energy and
yeah,
source field, you get into the source field and you're just one with all things. So if you
yeah,
become one with all things, then I'm nothing. Like
yeah, yeah,
it felt like I got conned. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember feeling that years
yeah,
ago, going like it kind of feels empty. So I'm going to become a part of everything, therefore a part of nothing. You know,
yeah.
and it was
Exactly.
disturbing.
And what do they call that? Like henosis? Is that
Yeah.
like? Yes, yes. And so you become like, in a certain sense, like you become very mechanical.
Yes.
Right? You become
Yes.
like a cold, indifferent machine.
Yes.
Whereas with our orthodoxy, it says it's really about participating in these,
Bravo.
energies from God. And when you participate it, you come back to the world, but at the same time, you kind of transcend and supersede it. I always think of it like, there's like the vertical plane and the horizontal plane.
Yes.
And if you get like what is it doing? It's creating a cross. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jesus says the logos,
Mm-hmm.
represents the full spectrum of the vertical and the horizontal, because it's really like the manifestation of God's expression and self realization on earth. And so and to me, orthodoxy, it's like, it's a complete message, and also it's the most undiluted message, because
Yes.
obviously with
Yes.
time, right? Like for
Yes.
example, when I didn't know that orthodoxy was pre-denominational, right? It
Yes.
came before
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh, really? The apostles like helped. It's
Apostolic succession. Yes.
it's that OG. I didn't know
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like the
Like,
it's like
yeah,
I saw someone put like a little video together, and they're like, who founded the Methodist Church, who
yeah,
founded the Protestants, and he was like Martin Luther and the
yeah,
Calvinists, whatever, and who founded Orthodoxy, and it's like Jesus Christ,
yeah,
and like that's a truth that's hard. So like lately, because I'm here in Mexico, there's not a lot of
yeah,
Orthodox individuals. So I've been hanging with some other people, asking a lot of questions, a lot of Protestants, let's say, asking a lot of questions. So we're having this conversation, and one of them went to seminary. We were talking about it the other day, and he went to seminary as and when he had to Google, he had to look up what Eastern Orthodox was because he saw my Father Turbo interview, and this
okay.
man went to seminary. And I'm like, okay, so they skipped the first 1,000 years, and they start with the Pope, and I'm trying to
Yeah,
explain to him, I'm like, all the problems the people in the Protestant Reform, Martin Luther and such, had with the Roman Catholics, we do
yeah,
too. We have the same issues. So instead
yeah,
of like going, hey, let's look at history and see where this problem occurred, they're like, I know, I'm just going to start my own thing. Sorry, I don't mean to
yeah,
go
yeah,
off on a Protestant bash.
yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
know, but it's what you're saying, the whole encompassing thing, the ancient tradition of ancient Christianity and like the rich tradition that we have,
yeah,
and to bring it back to Cradle Orthodox, like I find in one way it was good that I was raised Orthodox and then I kind of
yeah,
ventured off and what came back.
yeah,
And another way, I kind of feel like I missed a lot of time. Like
yeah,
everything you said in the beginning, like we weren't taught. Your story is very similar to mine. We weren't taught like the Trinity. My dad did explain it to me. I had a really good father and all that stuff, but like
yeah,
to break down like energy essence distinction, really
yeah,
what the logo says, logo spermatica, and like all these
yeah,
like concepts that I was thirsting for, like the
yeah.
Jesus prayer, all this stuff, prostrations. Do you know that I remember when I was like it's sorry. I just went off
Go
on a
ahead, go
tangent,
ahead, go ahead.
but like
Go
it's
ahead.
weird. It got me excited when I started to like rediscover orthodoxy and kind of like look at it from a totally different perspective, and to look at it from people that were not raised Orthodox. That was like a humbling experience to me,
Yeah,
like to watch all these Kseni, these non-Greeks, non-Serbians, non-Russians.
you're starting to chunk out there.
Oh, sorry, it's Mexico. It's the internet. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
okay. Yeah, now it's
Uh,
good. Now it's good.
so yeah, I just found it very humbling. And then, kind of revisiting in a lot of the things that you mentioned, it seems like we're kind of on the similar path. How did you, what was your experience when you were kind of like relearning the faith and kind of understanding how little you actually knew about it? Like, what was your experience?
I was like, oh snap, this is very rich, and a lot of you got to see, for example, the Orthodox stance on things that you basically would see in a lot of New Age spirituality,
Right.
right?
Yes.
For example, like you know or hereticism, the all, and you're
Hmm.
God, and but I found that like the energy essence distinction is a better treatment. And I'm like, no, that
Hmm.
explains it more. It was actually
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
more in line with my actual conscious experience of
Yes.
reality,
Yes.
you know. And so I'm like, oh, okay, and that for me, I'm like, okay, so this is really doing a good job at it's persuading me very well, right?
Yep.
It's persuading me. But the real persuasion is in the after you kind of go through that refiner's fire, you've kind of developed that muscle where there's a fluidity uh, to existence that I always oscillated before, like like in certain new age practices, like, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm on, but you have to
Yes.
keep that spiritual ecstasy going, right?
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
kind of you just like yo-yo,
Yes.
and when a system is doing this, that's an unstable system,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so I felt like uh, everything was reconciled. And I'm like, okay. And then again, it started manifesting itself in how I was living, and I was reaping the fruits of it. And at a certain point, like it became more fluid, and again, like there was like it matched,
Yep.
things were just matching very well, and
Very good.
that inspired me to obviously keep going, and just like knowing also that it's an ongoing process, and you want to keep staying humble so you can always be a child basically. And I think innocence is the prerequisite to holiness, to feeling whole,
Mm.
because in innocence there
Mm.
is naivety, a certain naivety where there is no judgment. Through judgment you create that mental schism. You've
Yes.
created a good and a bad, and
Yes.
if it's a bad you've created, we'll always emotionally react to the bad in like fashion. We feel bad, then we'll feel bad, right? And we just kind of oscillate. But with faith, I think faith is a lubricant between self and environment, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole the whole framework of Christ and Orthodoxy is just, to me, it reconciles and fills in all those blind spots where the ground that I'm standing on, it feels firm. And, I was, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, and all that. And I was before, I'm like, if I lost this, I couldn't live with myself. Like, well, who would I be?
Yep.
I would be nothing. God forbid, but if it were to happen, like something like I lose my business or I lose this, for once in my life, I'm like, I'm okay. I'm
Yep.
okay. Like, because I got Christ, so I'm good.
I
And
know exactly what you
again, it
mean.
all goes back to, you cannot, you have to, you cannot have two masters. You really, you
Yep.
you will
Yep.
you will be tested on what your true value structure is. And so, I think being childlike is healthy for even a man of 40. In the way
Absolutely.
that I described it, not like being a man child and like playing video games all day and shit like
No,
that.
no. Childlike is different than childish. Childlike
Yeah,
is a positive thing. Childish
yeah,
isn't. I can totally relate with what you just said because it was like what I was mentioning earlier, like the humbling experience of coming back to orthodoxy,
yeah,
and at 46, 45. Well, I started kind of touching base with it a couple years ago, but it was just humbling to hear a lot of younger guys schooling me on the subject,
yeah.
and a lot of non, like, like there's like a certain pride that we have as
Sure, because
as
you're
Greeks
like
and Serbs and
born into that
ethnically.
culture, right? And then you
Right.
have this outsider that is like
Yes.
adopted. It's like,
Right.
this guy knows like 10 times more than me.
Right. And that to me was a humbling experience. And when I started encountering like a lot of the guys online, or even conversations I was having with them privately, a lot of them way younger than me. A lot of them like they're just brand new to Orthodoxy, but they were schooling my ass, and I had to like just sit my ass down, be quiet, and learn. And like there was that original thing, and I'm sure if you felt the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? I'm Greek. What are you talking about? I'm Serbian. You're gonna tell me? And then within a few minutes, you shut your mouth very quickly. You know what I'm saying? And I've even gotten a lot of really awesome messages from a lot of Cradle Orthodox and new to the faith, and hearing their stories like privately and having private conversations with me. There's like something beautiful happening. Like I don't want to underplay that. Like even some of the friends we know, personally, and I'm seeing them interested in it, and like there's reaching out like, yo, next time you do another video, send it to me. I'm gonna send it to this guy. I'm like, what? And then there's something. That childlike nature that you're talking about, I think is the only way we can learn, and it's the only way that we can assimilate with what how we see God. The only way that we can actually have that communication, that direct personal communication.
And since this mission you've been on, I get the sense you're back at home, and I think you found like your own community also that you feel very comfortable with, and I think it's really resonating off the screen.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, which is why it's
I do
like
feel that.
you gotta plan like a trip Mount Athos, maybe go to Russia. A lot of holy sites there as well.
Absolutely. No, we got to do that soon. You are getting close to when you need to go, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you have?
We'll go to 4 more minutes, I guess.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So, like, I just want to end it properly.
Sure.
So, honestly, Djordje, I really appreciate this.
Hey, thanks
coming
for
on
having
here,
me.
this conversation. No, of course, and I think we should do a few more.
Yes, sure.
Like, this is an ongoing conversation, and I think it's an important conversation. And really well put, my friend. You really nailed it. I really appreciate your words. They're amazing.
Thank you.
Anything you want to finish off with? I think you should even talk about your business. I wanted to put that in the introduction, but we kind of just went into the thing. And the reason why I wanted you to bring it up is I like the ethics and the intention behind your company, what you guys do, and just plug it, man. Just any final words? Go.
I'm here in my warehouse. There's a toucan, and that's the logo of my company, Ipanema Valley. What we do is we work with small scale banana farmers in Brazil. And we basically buy the bananas that they can't sell due to their cosmetic imperfections. And by doing that, we prevent a lot of the food waste that goes on. And, farming is a hard business. It's not a good business. So, it limits the farmer's losses. And so we take these bananas and we concentrate them down into like a thick, nutrient dense mass. This is 100% banana. We shape like these squares out of them, if you can see. And essentially they're banana squares that we call banana brownies. We could get into a debate on that, but they're essentially like fudgy, nutrient-dense, chewy, intense banana squares, and we basically upcycle them into the North American market, and we sell them at health food stores predominantly and online, ipanimavalley.com.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw that in the description and all that stuff for sure. No, and actually, and I'm not just saying it because you're my bud. They're actually really, really good.
Oh, thank you. Well, we try. We're coming out with some new products, some energy bites.
What do you got? Energy bites. Okay.
Yeah, like we've taken, again, we're a minimalist company in the sense that we don't like too many ingredients in our products. So we're taking that banana base and we're adding cinnamon because cinnamon helps regulate your blood sugar levels. And so we want a moderate spike and sustained energy, not a dip, ginger is another ingredient that we're putting on, and then also banana with coffee. So with caffeine, again, it's all about that, sustainable, minimal ingredient yet producing a sustainable, moderate energy boost, basically, while using these, imperfect bananas, basically, because there's a whole lot of them, and that will come 2024. So in the new year, around February, March, basically.
Awesome, man. Listen, I'm going to put all of that in the show notes, and I hope everyone kind of supports you on that. And
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
you can get some of that here in Mexico too. I know
Yeah,
it would fly
yeah.
here. It
Hey,
would fly here.
send me your address. I'll ship some down for you. No problem.
Okay. Because there's definitely a market here, especially where I am,
Yeah,
for what you got. 100%, 100%.
for
All right,
sure.
brother.
Okay, thank
Love
you
you,
very
man. I'll
much.
see you soon.
See you soon. God bless.
All right, let's.